is Mary Shelley. I am the originator of what you would consider the science fiction novel. So, H.P. Lovecraft, Isaac Asimov, they have me to thank for the conception of making science into fiction. Hence the name. Yeah, let me pull up my work. It's called Frankenstein. The idea came to me when I was honeymooning with my husband, Percy Shelley, in Geneva, along with some lifelong companions such as Lord Byron. Yes, we're good friends with Lord Byron. Quite an individualist man, if I do say so myself. When it comes to the Romantic movement, they were all quite erratic, following their pursuits of individualism with drinking, having affairs with random people, George especially. I didn't mind my husband carrying out and flirting with other women. I myself indulged in the practice too. It was equal. There we go. What I did mind were his more damaging habits. But if he didn't want to help himself, there was nothing I could do. I was constantly telling him not to do something. I was constantly telling Lord Byron not to do something, warning them, being the voice of reason. They didn't listen to me. And look where they are now. Prematurely dead, like my children. Unfortunate. One of my sons lived to adulthood. The other 4, one of them died. The other 3 didn't make it to adulthood, but they did live for a little while. One of them being my first daughter with Percy Shelley. She was conceived, most likely. I have a bit of a difficulty admitting this secret, a confession, if you will, but it is such a wild rumor that I have to put it to rest. I can't just let it stand like that so ambiguously. There is a rumor that while my husband, who was married at the time when I met him, when I was a teenager, unfortunately to a lady named Harriet, who ended up killing herself after, her husband ran away with me, and we traveled around Europe, as you do when you're avoiding scandal, which, was, for some reason, not successful, because we still ran into scandal and constant criticism and constant judgment, and we were living in debt and whatnot. Had we known our legacy would live on, I wonder how we would have been treated, but we didn't, so we still had to suffer. Harriet, I married him soon after. That's a bit harsh. Soon after I married him. And then we went to Geneva. I conceived of the idea for Frankenstein, but back to the original point. He was married when I began courting him. My father disapproved greatly when I ran away with him. He disowned me, my father. I thought he wouldn't because, the philosophical ideas were very, in harmony with one another. My father was a liberal man, wealthy. He afforded me a good education, though a bit informal. And he encouraged me to be a modern-day woman, to claim my rights and be independent, which is what I thoroughly enjoy being. But for that reason, I thought he would be accepting of Percy, but apparently the whole him being already married was a big no-no to him. For being such a liberal, he was such a product of his generation. Nonetheless, back to the point. So while Percy and I were courting, we would often have dates in a graveyard. My mother's graveyard, to be more specific. She died a month after I was born. Mary Wollstonecraft. And there is a rumor that on my mother's grave, and let me put that rumor to rest. Yes. And it's likely that I could have conceived my daughter on my mother's grave, which is just wild. Like, we were wild people. I mean, he was a romantic, I was independent. We just didn't care. We just did not care. Lived life to its fullest measure. But where he believed that an individual should be focused on the individual's wants and pursuits, which was the whole romantic movement, along with Lord Byron, who also believed in the same concept, I believe that a unity of people working towards a common goal for betterment of all was a way to better society as a whole, rather than each individual pursuing what they thought was best for themselves. Because, I mean, by that logic, a killer pursuing what they want is obviously not going to be benefiting society as a whole. So, nonetheless, I miss my husband. He died at the age of 29. His boat, which was not meant for the ocean, which was not meant to be on water, which was not meant to be sailed, sank. And he died with it. He drowned with it. When his body washed ashore, we burned it. And his heart did not burn. And I kept it. Obviously, I mean, it's my husband's heart. Of course I'm going to be keeping my husband's heart. People thought that was a bit disturbed. I wrote Frankenstein. Do you think I'm sane? So, I kept his heart. The reason it didn't burn was because it was calcified, so it was like bone. And I kept it with me the rest of my life. So, I mean, it's what you do. I wanted to dedicate my life to him, so I kept his heart. I mean, why wouldn't you? Nonetheless, I have my mother's work here, Mary Wollstonecraft, Vindication of the Rights of Woman. She was a philosopher of her time, and around many prominent intellects of the 18th and 19th century. I was able to associate with a number of them due to the fact that my mother is Mary Wollstonecraft, and they were, in correspondence, so I was able to associate with them, and it was an excellent education, an excellent informal education, but discourse is always an excellent form of education. It helps develop a critical mind, and it helps garner perspective, an educated perspective, considering how these were all men that were not taking their words, well, I mean, not all of them, but they were taking their own words with a grain of salt, as did I. So this is my mother. This is a portrait of her right here, Mary Wollstonecraft. She was quite a lovely woman. Shame I wasn't able to meet her. Let's see. She married my father, William Godwin, who was a political philosopher. So both of my parents were philosophers, hence why I am so driven towards writing and thinking and the whole scientific, the age of enlightenment. And it's my calling. It's merely my calling. I prefer to be a rational person. So, I mean, when it comes to emotions, that's why I was able to have an open relationship with Percy. But, I mean, it still broke my heart when he died, and when Lord Byron died. We had a great friendship, Lord Byron and I. But, I mean, like, the life he was living. Like, you knew you were gonna die soon, and he thoroughly expected it. He knew it was gonna happen. He couldn't wait for it to happen. That was exactly how he wanted to go at the age of, I believe, 36. Truly a legend, to be honest. Truly a rock star, if those will exist in the future. So, nonetheless, my works are now coming, other than Frankenstein, are coming into consideration as being quite noteworthy, as they are. I mean, some of my novels that I think should be considered more are Valperga, Perkin Warbeck, and The Last Man. So, The Last Man is an apocalyptic novel, so it is quite interesting, and I would recommend them. But in the meantime, I will be giving you my copy of Frankenstein, written by none other than myself. I published this anonymously in the beginning, and considering how my husband wrote the preface of this novel, people believed that he wrote the entire novel, but in fact he did not. He was just a poet, and a writer, and I wrote the novel, Frankenstein. That was my work. See? Mary Shelley, right there. That's my name. Don't wear it out. Mary Shelley, right there. Mary Shelley, that's me. So I wrote this book. I did. And I mean, people consider it to be a warning of what science will do if you don't consider God, and how man shouldn't overstep its boundaries. But even though I guess you can interpret whatever you want in whatever way you want, another meaning that people often forget is it's also sort of moral of what happens when you abandon your responsibilities. Child. So it was, considering how I was pregnant at the time, it was something dear to my heart. So anyways, this is my book. You can keep this copy, and I think that's about it. I'm gonna go spend some time with my husband's calcified heart. I miss him, so I'm just gonna snuggle up with the bone heart. You can show yourself out or lounge about. I don't really mind either way. I mean, feel free to do whatever you want. This is a revolutionary age.